Hi, good afternoon students and welcome to Bridge Course Biology class. So this is the second class of the new concept. Yesterday we started a new concept related to the tissues. So both plant tissues and animal tissues. So it is a continued part. And yesterday I asked a question. So on the basis of that comparison between plant and animals. So I asked a question, write the differences between animals and plants. So general differences. Not specific, not internal. So generally, what are the physical appearances or morphological differences that you are going to get between the plants and animals? So I asked that question. So many students have interacted and many students have sent their answers, and one happier thing is day by day the students are interacting more and they are sending the answers more, and many students have sent their answers. So among all the students, a few of the students have sent the accurate answers. For me, I felt like that, accurate answers. For mentioning few of those students, Sahana, Suhas, Spurti, then Megha, then Vinodini, then Bhagya, then Sakshi, then Basavaraj, then Tejashwini. Okay, so many students are there, so they have sent their answers. Particularly these few students' answers I felt very near and very accurate. So what was the question, yesterday's question? Write the differences between plants and animals, right? So here, if you want to observe that difference, majorly first and most important thing we will come to know is that plants are autotrophs and we are heterotrophs. Animals are heterotrophs. That means animals are depending on the plants for different purposes, majorly for food and oxygen purposes, right? Second thing, if you consider the plants, so plants are the showing important process, that is photosynthesis, but animals do not carry that process, photosynthesis. Why? Because the plants are having a special cell organelle. So that cell organelle is the chloroplast, but animals do not have the cell organelles. And the third difference, so plants, those organisms, they do not have the higher complex organization as that of the animals. That means higher animals. So for example, in yesterday's class only we came to a term, that is the organ system. We are having the organ system, but the plants do not have organ system. But of course, plants are complicated organism. And generally plants do not walk. That means that they do not show the locomotion. They cannot change their place, their existence place. But animals, usually they are the locomotory organisms. Not all the animals, a few of the aquatic organisms, few of the aquatic animals, even though they are animals, they are sedimentary. So they are located or restricted at one place. So for example, sponges and coelenterata, some of the coelenterata, they are restricted at one place. They cannot move, just like plants. But all the plants, as already we know, they cannot change their places. And here I am just saying the general differences as a appearance. So as appearance, how the plants and animals get differentiated. And a major thing, so here if you consider the plants, plant cells, if you consider, they are having the cell walls. All the plant cells are covered by the cell wall. But animal cells are do not covered by the cell wall, just having the plasma membrane. That means compared to plants and animal cells are smooth cells, or they are not as rough of the plant cells, that means animal cells. And the special cell organelle present in the plant cell is chloroplast, that is the extra one. So such kind of chloroplast is not present in the animal cell. If it is present, means we are able to produce our own food just by walking in the sunlight, right? Just like plant. But of course we do not have. And plant cells, if we consider them, so plant cells, they will take the carbon dioxide gas and releasing the oxygen for production of the glucose. That is one extra process, that is a photosynthesis. But here in our cell, we are taking the oxygen inside and releasing the carbon dioxide by breaking the same glucose. Of course, what I am saying right now, the same process is occurring in animals, plant cells also. But the thing is that one photosynthesis process is extra as compared to the animal cell there. And here plants will require more amount of water as compared to the animal cell. Why? Because through the water only the most of the ingredients and most of the minerals present in the soil entering the plant body. Just like we are having the food, how we are taking the food, in that same sense the plant is absorbing the minerals when those minerals get dissolved in water only. That means plants will continuously take the water, but level of intake of water may different from plant to plant, so that is a different thing. But of course they will take more amount of water as compared to the animals. And here plants should be very strong enough, they should be having very mechanical support. Why? Because they are present at one particular place, they will not wander from here to there, and they have to sustain all the forces that is given by the atmosphere. They should be very stable. So in order to make that one, so internally most of the plants are having the dead tissues, but in case of animals we do not have such kind of a mechanical support to withstand, to be there at one place. Why? Because we are moving, and we do not have the dead tissue inside. If it is a dead tissue, it may be outside, not inside. So plant is having dead tissues inside, and we are having so living tissues is inside. And one more difference, comparatively compared to the plants, we need a more amount of energy. Why? Because we will show the more mechanical work, more metabolical activities. Why? Because throughout body almost all cells are living cells, but in case of plants most of the cells are dead cells, working cells are less in the plant. So because of that reason energy requirement by the plant is less. Yes, so in that way if you consider, a lot of so many differences are there here. And one more thing, before going to that class, before continuing the tissue, here is one interesting question asked by Megha Havrigi. So first let us see the video questioning that one. So after that one, so let's have the discussion on that question. Very interesting question. So let's look at the question first.
Sir, I have one doubt. We can see the snakes, but externally we cannot see its ears. Then also it can detect the airborne sound. How, sir? Thank you.
Yes, so you asked the question. What is that Megha questions? So Megha is asking that snake do not have the ear, just like what we are having. So this kind of ear not beard by that snake. That means we can't see the ears. Even though it is not having the ear, how can it feel the sounds produced in the surrounding, or how can it respond to the sounds? Of course it is not having the ear just like us. How it is that? So here the answer is that ears, what we are having right now, we will call this as an external ear right now. This external ear I will call it as a ear pinna. So this kind of ear pinna structure we can't see in the snake. So that is first thing. And even if you observe the frog also, they can't have such kind of a ear pinna. But thing is, if you closely observe the frog eyes will be there. Just beside to the eyes there is a small thin layer. Yes, that layer we will call it as tympanum. Right, that layer is tympanum. Just like ear, one thin layer will be present. Through the tympanum it will hear the sounds. Here also snake, just beside to its eyes, just beside backside, it is having a small opening like structure, small, very small. We will call them as ear openings. Or along with the ear openings, inside it is having the inner ear, complicated inner ear structure. So that will feel the sound. So in order to support that one, of course the snake will not hear the sound as we are hearing, right? But it will sense the vibration that is produced in the outer surrounding atmosphere. So if you observe the jaw, we are also having two jaws, upper jaw and lower jaw. So here the snake, it is having the jaw, that is lower jaw, mandible, we will call it as a mandible. So here the lower jaw, it is differentiated into two parts. So left side and right side. So both the jaws are independently move, but in our jaw it cannot move independently. But in case of snake it will move independently. And that jaw, when it will touch the ground, when it is traveling, when it will touch the ground, so that jaw is very sensitive in such a way that if any vibrations produced in the surrounding atmosphere, suddenly jaw will start vibrate. very micro sensitivities. When that jaw will vibrate, that jaw is internally connected with the inner ear inside. Then that inner ear, it will feel the sound in such a way that even very micro vibrations are there in the atmosphere. Such micro vibrations can be observed by the snake, but we cannot observe, we cannot feel such kind of very micro sounds, but snake will do that one, right? Okay, so coming to our class. So yesterday we started the tissue concept, as already you know. So what is a tissue? Tissue means a group of cells, similar cells having the origin, same origin and performing similar function. Such kind of mass of cell is considered to be the tissues. Of course, plants are having the tissues and animals, we are also having the tissues. And yesterday I had given one table related to the plant tissue classification, right? So here in the plant tissues, we are having all the plant tissues grouped into two classes majorly: meristematic tissue, permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue means continuously growing tissue. Permanent tissue means that tissue will not grow. So in a meristematic tissue, again we are having three types on the basis of their position. So there, apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. We are having three types. If we come to the permanent tissue, there in the permanent tissue we are having two major classes, two major groups. One is simple permanent tissue, another one is complex permanent tissue, right? In the simple permanent tissue, we are having three types again: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. In complex permanent tissue, we were having two types: xylem and phloem. So this is how we classified the plant tissue in major categories. Then, if we consider the first one, in the tissues, I am talking about the plant tissues. Let me consider the first one. Meristematic tissue. So in the meristematic tissue, as already we know, this is a continuously dividing cells group. So whatever the cells present here, all the cells are continuously dividing. Say for example, let me consider a plant. Yes, a plant tip region. If I consider last tip region, edge, plant edge, top. If we consider this tip region, usually the tip region color is a light green, not a dark green, light green, tili hasiru. Now kannadadalli chiguru anta helteve. If we consider this portion here, this is the best example for meristematic tissue, right? And if we enlarge the small portion of this structure outside microscopically, there we can see so many cells. So here so many cells are arised here, they are present here, and the thing is, all the cells will be usually small cells. And one more interesting thing is that in between the cells there is no gap in between the cells contact, right? So here usually in between the cells there is no gap. In between the cell means intracellular, right? In between the cell means intracellular, and inside the cell means intra. This is intercellular space. So here intercellular space is usually absent. Why? Because the cells are continuously dividing. When the space is small, many cells are more, means the space is less. And here inside the cell there will be usually large nucleus. So nucleus will be large, right? This is another thing. So why the nucleus is large means, so when the cell is dividing, when the cell is active by its division, usually that cell will show large nucleus. And one more thing, these cells do not have nucleus. Even though nucleus is present, it will be very small. Why they do not have the nucleus means, so here Just I told you, when the cell is functionally active for other purposes, then it will be having the nucleus. That means a matured cell will be having the nucleus. Here these cells are not matured. Still those are the young cells. Their just work is dividing. All the cells are dividing, right? And their cell wall is thin. They are having the thin cell wall. So cell wall is thin cell wall and larger nucleus. And these are the main features carried by the meristematic tissue. So such kind of meristematic tissue is present here. It is dividing continuously. And in the meristematic tissue, we are having three types. As already we know, the first one is apical meristem, and the second one is intercalary meristem, and the third one is lateral meristem, right? We are having three types. So here if I consider these two, apical and intercalary, okay, let me see the first one. The apical meristem, it is present at a tip region, tip of the plant, tip of the shoot or tip of the root. Root also extending downside, shoot extending upper side. So tip of both the regions, it is having apical meristem. So because of that reason, root is growing downward continuously, shoot is going in the upward direction continuously. Why? Because those are having apical meristematic tissue. And if we consider this intercalary meristem, it is present usually at node regions. Yesterday only I told you. So plants is marks of the plant in their stem or branches is considered to be the node region. You can easily detect the node region in case of the sugarcane marks. Those are the nodes. So from the node side, usually node will be having small buds. Yes, from those buds we can get different structures. At the node regions we can see this kind of intercalary meristem. And thing is, intercalary meristem, it is not present in all the plants. In the special plants it will be present, and its main work is elongating the plant body. So the overall length of the plant is increased by the intercalary meristem. Say for example grass. While gardening, we are having a machine. Continuously we will 2 days or 3 days or 1 week once we are cutting the grass by using the machine. And after cutting again the grass will grow. How means, if you consider, so imagine this is the grass, right? If we cut the grass to this level, now we have cut the grass. So here this is the stem of the grass. After cutting the stem at the node region, this intercalary meristem is present. So that intercalary, by using intercalary meristem, again the grass will grow. So that means it helps in the elongation of the plant body, just like a bamboo. It's the biggest grass. So it is having the majorly intercalary meristem. And these two meristems work is, and thing is, these two meristems are called as primary meristems. Primary meristem work is increasing the length of the plant body. In case of human beings also, when we are growing, our first growth is prior to the increasing the height. First our height will increase up to 18 years or up to 19 years we will say. That means after 18 or 19 years the growth is stopped. We will say, we will hear that term, the growth is stopped. That means becoming higher and higher in order the increasing the height. So that is stopped at 18 or 19 years. That means it increasing the height is primary growth. Afterwards the growth will extend in this manner. That means a diameter will increase. Here also the plant starting, it will increase its height, then it will start extending its girth. So the extending girth is considered to be the secondary growth, right? So that secondary growth is given by the lateral meristem. So lateral meristem work is, okay, before that one let me write. So lateral meristem, it is present at lateral sides. So for example, if this is the stem, consider my body itself is the stem means, so lateral side, here the lateral side in the circumference, that is in the diameter way, I am having the lateral meristem. When the lateral meristem start dividing, so diameter of the body will increase. So here this lateral meristem will help in increasing the secondary growth of the plant body. These two for primary growth and these two for secondary growth. So here lateral meristem, when it's continuously divide, so girth of the plant increases, the plant becomes matured, the plant becomes old. At that time the outer part of the plant becomes hard part. That hard part of the plant usually we will refer it as cork. In my first video itself I explained this term cork, hard part of the plant body. That cork produced from the lateral meristem here. So this is how we can see the meristem work and their locations, right? So here now imagine the thing, meristematic cells are dividing continuously. Of course, whether all the meristematic cells will divide continuously? So imagine now 100 meristematic cells are present at the tip region, 100 cells. Now 100 meristematic cells will divide and forms 200 cells. 200 will divide forms 400, 800, 1600. So many cells are dividing continuously. Now after getting certain number of cells, some of the cells will stop division, remaining cells will divide continuously. Those cells which will stop the division, those cells will undergo modification. Modification means they will not divide, they will perform other work. Such kind of cells we will refer them as permanent cells. Now let me consider the second most important category. Permanent tissue. So the plants are carrying the another major important tissue category, that is permanent tissue. Permanent tissues are obtained by the meristematic tissue cells. Some of the meristematic cells, they will stop division and they will perform other works. While they are performing other works inside the cell, so some changes will occur, and that process we will refer as differentiation. So because of differentiation, meristematic cells get converted into permanent cells. And here, as already we know, we are having two types of permanent tissues. One is simple permanent tissue and the second one is complex permanent tissue. Just understand, in biology or in whatever it is, if you get the term simple, simple means looking simple, or in another sense it is having simple organization. Here the simple meaning is single type of cells, one type of cells just. Complex means many types of cells. Here just only one type of cells we are looking at. So here we are looking at the complex, that means a group of many different types of cells grouped together, complex. So here in the simple one we were having three types, of course. So here we were having three types. The first one, as already we know, that is parenchyma, the first one, and the second one is collenchyma, and the third one is sclerenchyma. We are having three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. So these three types cells are different. Parenchyma different, collenchyma different, sclerenchyma different. But the thing is, all the three types of cells originated from the meristematic cells. They get undergoing the modification. That modification we will refer it as differentiation. All these are the differentiated cells, and now they are performing their different works. If we consider parenchyma, let me show here. Yes, yes, these are the parenchyma cells. And here these are the parenchyma cells obtained from the meristematic cells. Thing is, they will not divide. At some specific situation they may divide, but usually they will not divide, and they are having the nucleus, and usually nucleus of the parenchyma will be at a peripheral side, that means at one side, pushing at one side. Why? Because here they are having the vacuole, large vacuole, right? Most of the cells they are having the large vacuoles. So they are having the vacuoles. So these are the parenchyma cells. And one more major difference that you are observing right now is, mostly the parenchyma cells are having the intercellular space. They are having the intercellular space, and here also somehow the cell wall is thin, of course. And these parenchyma cells, depending on their location, so this structure may little bit different. It may change, it may vary here. And mostly the parenchyma cells are having the chloroplast, more number of chloroplast. They are having the more number of chloroplast. So when the parenchyma cells are having the more number of chloroplast, then all the cells are looking green. When this kind of tissue is present everywhere, that part will be looking green. Which one is the greeny part in the plant? Most greeny part, leaves. That means this kind of cells are present in the leaves, and even leaf is soft. So here this kind of tissue we will refer it as chlorenchyma. Chlorenchyma means, simple thing is, parenchyma which is having a chloroplast and performing photosynthesis, such kind of tissue we will refer it as chlorenchyma. And this kind of chlorenchyma, it is present in leaf. Usually it is present in a leaf because of photosynthesis process. And even when the plant stem is young, when the plant is small, sasi anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. When the plant is small, its stem is green. Why? Because that is having the chlorenchyma. When the plant is old, that green color change into hard covering. That hard covering, it is made up of other tissues. I will explain that one. And here I told that these are the intercellular space. In between the cells, gap is there, and in that gap, suppose if the air get deposited, so here all, if the air get deposited, then imagine here throughout air gap is there here. When air gap is present, then we will consider that as parenchyma. That means in the parenchyma, another type is parenchyma. What is the work of parenchyma? Parenchyma work is making the part of the plant where it is present to make that part to be buoyantic. That means floating. So that part will be floating. Say for example, let me draw. Okay. Yes. If we consider the lotus, now imagine the lotus, it is present in the, it is an aquatic plant. It is now right now it is present in the water, and these are the leaves of the lotus, right? So lotus leaves, so elongated broad leaves, when they are present on the surface of the water, they will not sink in the water. So those lotus leaves will be floating on the water surface. Why it is a floating means, so here in the leaf parenchyma tissue is present. That parenchyma tissue is having air gap, So we will call it as Erenchyma. Erenchyma tissue is present here. Not only that one, whatever the plant part is floating or light in weight, usually that will be having the Erenchyma. So Chlorenchyma, Erenchyma are the major types of parenchyma tissues. And one more thing, one more major work is done by this parenchyma is it acts as epidermis. So this is the major point. So parenchyma tissue acts as epidermis. Epidermis means skin of the plant. As we are having the skin, the plant also having the skin. That skin we will call it as epidermis. Epi means above. Keep this term in your mind. Epi means above, or the outer one. Derm means a layer. That means epidermis means above layer. The plant is having one above layer. That above layer is parenchyma. So imagine when the plant is young, it is having one thin covering, and the thin covering is greenish, right? Greenish, and also that covering is very shiny in nature. Why? Because it is having the wax. So we can remove this layer easily, just a thin layer. So that thin layer is made up of parenchyma, and we will call it as epidermis. So epidermis work is covering the plant part. So for example, if we consider this layer, right now this layer is epidermis, it is shining in nature, that layer made up of parenchyma, and that layer will be having small pores, and we will call those pores as, we will call them as stomata, right? So stomata means, as already we know, stomata means these are the microscopic pores present on the epidermis, majorly present in the leaf, and those stomata, when they get open, so helps in the exchange of gases, intake of carbon dioxide, output of oxygen. So that means these stomata are majorly present on the surface of epidermis. So on the leaf, those stomata are more. And my one question, so this is a tomorrow's question. As already you know the difference, dicot and monocot. Yes, dicot leaf and monocot leaf. I am giving one example. So myself I am giving one example. For dicot, the best example is banyan tree leaf. Okay, or else if you want to consider another one, neem tree, mango tree. Okay, let me consider mango tree. Mango tree leaf, it is example for dicot leaf, right? Then if you consider the maize or gia maize, jola, gia maize leaf is example for monocot leaf. What is the difference between monocot leaf and dicot leaf? Once again I am explaining. Once again my question, listen to my question. What is the major difference between a dicot leaf and monocot leaf, right? So nearby you, such kind of many leaves are present. Once take the leaf and observe the differences between dicot leaf and monocot leaf. And again make a table, make two columns, dicot leaf one side, monocot leaf one side, write the differences, right? So these stomata are majorly present in the epidermis here. And epidermis, erenchyma, chlorenchyma are the different forms of parenchyma. And along with that one, parenchyma main work, if you consider, it's another work is storage of food material also. So inside food material get stored here. So it's another major function is storage of food material. And apart from the chlorenchyma, if you consider another one, parenchyma, apart from the parenchyma, if you consider chlorenchyma, so it is we will consider this one as living mechanical tissue. As already I told you, whenever plant needs mechanical strength, their chlorenchyma is present. When that chlorenchyma is present, that part will show the flexibility. Say for example, let us imagine a young plant, right? The plant is young. Imagine the plant is straight. From this direction it is blowing. The wind is blowing with a high speed. When wind is blowing, the plant which is straight right now, the plant will bend like this when wind is blowing in this direction, right? After the blowing of wind get completed, now the plant becomes straight again. That means the plant part is having the flexibility. Either the stem, either the branch, either the leaf holding parts, they are having the flexibility. Or else if you bend any branch of the stem, it will bend. After removing, it will go to its earlier position. That means there is a flexible tissue. But thing is, that flexible tissue is mechanically strong. Why? Because it is having collenchyma. You can observe such kind of collenchyma in the stem, in the leaf holding part, that is petiole, in the flower holding part, that is pedicel. So you can observe such kind of collenchyma. And here, compared to parenchyma, collenchyma cells are little bit hard. Why? Because the cell wall of collenchyma, it is deposited by a substance. That substance is pectin. It is deposited by pectin substance. And lastly, if we consider this is sclerenchyma. So sclerenchyma, it is the dead mechanical tissue. This is living mechanical tissue and this is a dead mechanical tissue. So compared to collenchyma, these cells are hard cells and those are present in hard parts of the plant body. Why this is sclerenchyma is dead means because of a deposition of lignin. When the lignin gets deposited, that part will be dead. So for example, this is one cell, inside it is having the nucleus and other parts. Now this is the cell wall. Now the cell wall get deposited with the lignin continuously and the cell wall becomes more and more thick. And when the continuously cell wall is going to thick, so at the time cell will lose the outer contacts. It will not get any materials from outer side. Why? Because it is totally covered by hard layer, lignin deposition. Now at that time the cell will be died. When cell get died, the usually internal portion will be empty. There is no internally any structures. Again the lignin get deposited. Now this kind of cells are considered to be the very hard cells, or we will refer them as stone cells. And these stone cells are nothing but sclerenchyma cells. And thing is, these cells may be present in stone forms, that means in that hard level, or those may be present in elongated means fiber cells, sclerenchyma fibers. And usually we can see the sclerenchyma fibers in coconut, tender coconut, eleniru. When we are loosening the tender coconut, we can see the fibers. Those fibers are made of sclerenchyma, right? And sclerenchyma, it is present in hard parts of the plant body. Say for example, in the same coconut husk, if we consider that coconut shell of the coconut, tenginkai chippu. So that coconut shell is very hard. Why? Because it is made of stone cells. Stone cells are nothing but sclerenchyma cells. Not only there, wherever the part is hard, that means seed covering, nut covering, fruit covering, so those are little bit tough. Why? Because those are having the sclerenchyma, right? And one more thing I told you, so plants are internally, those are that means a large plants, a matured plant, internally those are having the dead cells. Why the cells are dead means because of sclerenchyma, because of the deposition of the lignin. When those dead cells are present internally plant is very strong, mechanical support it is having a lot. So those are dead mechanical tissues. Inside the plants are having dead tissues. The dead tissue is nothing but sclerenchyma. So here parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, what we observed, these are the simple permanent tissues types. These simple permanent tissues together they are forming next complex tissues. In the next class, let us see the complex tissues, xylem and phloem, right? So I hope you are getting what I am explaining right now. If you are having any doubts related to this concept, or if you are having any interested questions in our biology concepts, so do one thing, make a video, questioning video, just like that Megha Havargi, how she sent that one question through video, like that, make one video questioning and send that video questioning to my number, WhatsApp number. And thing is, video should be very short. Your questioning should be within 10 to 15 seconds. Just ask the question and send the video. In the next class, So which one the question I feel better, so in the next class I will take that video questioning and try to explaining that one, right? Thank you.